Medic Mind. Motivate, mentor, maximize.
Now, let's look at syllogisms. So what are syllogisms? Syllogisms contain two or more statements which are followed by a series of conclusions. You need to use logical reasoning to deduce which conclusions follow from the information given. The information may not actually make actual sense. For example, you may see a statement that says all bananas are vegetables, all vegetables are desserts. This does not make sense in real life, but you should not use any external knowledge when answering questions on syllogisms. So key tips for syllogism questions now. Once you crack the technique for syllogisms, it becomes so much easier. When you're first doing the questions, it can be so abstract, it can be so, I really don't know how to answer this question. But as long as you keep going, it'll become so much easier eventually. You should read all the information multiple times until it makes logical sense. You'll be given a statement. It won't make sense at first, of course, but if you read it 5 or 6 times, it will start to make sense to you a lot more. You should also pay special attention to words such as some, none, all, and only. They will, as long as you look at these straight away, they will actually influence how quickly you can answer the question. Because, for example, if you see a statement that says all bananas are elephants compared to only some bananas are elephants, those two mean completely different things. As soon as you spot them, note them down on your whiteboard as soon as possible. But the most important tip I give you is to not make assumptions about the information using external knowledge. Most of the time, the information won't make actual sense anyway, but when you start to use external knowledge, it will start to cloud your judgment and start to cloud your logical thinking processes for these questions. And you should always draw Venn diagrams wherever possible. I found that whenever I do syllogism questions, whenever I draw a Venn diagram, it saves me a lot of time and it makes the question a lot easier. Now the issue is there's so many different types of syllogism that you might get in the exam. So now what we're going to do now is to go through every single syllogism type that you'll get and go through a Venn diagram for each question as well as an example. So let's start by introducing the Venn approach. It is recommended that you use Venn diagrams. These aren't as straightforward as the ones used in maths exams for GCSE or that sort of thing. So now we're going to go through the different types of Venn diagrams and when to use them. So the first pattern you may get is sum A are B. Now what can you deduce from this Venn diagram? You can see that sum A are not B because sum of the A does not overlap with B. You can say the same for B. Sum B are not A because sum of B does not overlap with A. You know that sum A are B because there is a section that overlaps in the middle. And you know that sum B are A because a section overlaps in the middle. So an example now. Some giraffes are sharks. So what can you deduce from that statement? Now, draw a Venn diagram here because you know it's sum A are B. Identify it straight away like that. Draw the Venn diagram. The question will ask you place yes if the conclusion follows, place no if the conclusion does not follow. You may get statements such as no giraffes are sharks. That doesn't make sense because we see a bit of overlap in the middle. The 4 things that can be deduced here is that some giraffes are not sharks, some sharks are not giraffes, some giraffes are sharks, and some sharks are giraffes. I hope that makes sense to you. Next, the second pattern you may get is all A are B. Now, a Venn diagram for this would be a circle and a circle over that circle. What can be deduced here? Well, we know that all A are B, as it says in the statement. We know that some A are B and some B are A. Now, the reason we know this is because by default, if all A are B, then some A have to be B. In the same way, if all A are B, some B have to be A. Now, just by using A, B, it can appear a lot more confusing. So let me show you with another example. All beaches are sites. Now, we know that all beaches are sites because we've drawn the Venn diagram here. And we also know that some beaches are sites because if all beaches are sites, then some beaches also have to be sites anyway. And we know that some sites are beaches. I've used a real-life example here to make it a lot clearer because we know that some people interpret beaches as sites. If we say all beaches are sites, then of all the sites there are in the world, there is a small portion that are beaches. Pattern 3. Some A are not B. Now, This is a very, very tricky question. There are two things that could be deduced, but it's either one of the other. It could be that some A are B, or it could be that no A is B. Let's look at an example now to make it clearer. Some snakes are not reptiles. Now, when you read that statement, you think, wait a second, if some snakes are not reptiles, does that mean that some snakes are reptiles? Or does it mean that no snakes are reptiles? You can't know for sure which of the two it is, but this will help you rule out options that will not make sense at all. Conclusions that will not follow, for example, would be all reptiles are snakes. All reptiles are not snakes. We don't know this for sure just by looking at the statement. We know that either some snakes are reptiles or that no snakes are reptiles. These are the two possible conclusions that could be deduced from the statement. No more than that. Pattern 4, no A or B. Now this is the most simplest pattern you'll get. If you know no A or B, then you know it says it in the statement. So no spreads of peanut butter. So no spreads of peanut butter. We know that no spreads of peanut butter. Now this is the most simplest question you get. I highly doubt that you'll get a question as easy as this, but you never know. Pattern 5 now. Some A are B and some B are C. Now it is getting a lot more complicated than before. There are 3 different items here, and if you look at the statement, you can see why it's so important to draw a Venn diagram here. Just when I've drawn the Venn diagram, I can see straight away that A and C are far away from each other. Therefore, it's an unknown relationship. There could be a relationship between A and C, but we don't know for sure. We know that there is a relationship between A and B and a relationship between B and C. So what can be deduced for sure? We know that some A are B, and because some A are B, some B are also A. The same thing applies for B and C. We know that some B are C, that must mean that some C are also B. But between A and C, again, there could be a relationship. It could be that of those that are B, some are A. And as we know that some B are C, some of those B's that are A's could also be C's. But remember, do not make any assumptions. It says place yes and the conclusion follows. It does not follow straight away. We'd have to guess here. Now this slide is just confirming that point. There could be a relationship. Either there can be items A, B and C, or there can be items that are just A. But we don't know this, so when we answer the question, we should assume there is no relationship. So example statements. Some A is C, all A is C, no A is C. These are 3 examples that cannot be drawn straight away. We don't know for sure that some A is C because we don't know the relationship between A and C. Same applies for the second statement and the third statement. There could be a relationship, but we don't know for sure. An example for this type. Some buildings are skyscrapers, some skyscrapers are towers. Now, look at this straight away. We know that some buildings could be towers, but it's an unknown relationship. We don't know for sure. Because although this does make real life sense, a lot of the syllogisms won't. It could be some buildings are Jaffa cakes, some Jaffa cakes are elephants. Like that makes no actual sense. So don't use any external knowledge here. So what can be drawn from this Venn diagram? We know that some buildings are skyscrapers, and if some buildings are skyscrapers, then some skyscrapers are also buildings. We know that some skyscrapers are towers, and by the same logic, some towers are also skyscrapers. Between buildings and towers, there could be a relationship, but we don't know for sure. Pattern 6. All A are B and all B are C. Previously we looked at all A are B. Now all you have to do is add another layer to this circle here, to the 2 circles shown. Now what can be deduced here? Let's look at it step by step as always. Between A and B, we know that all A are B, and by the same logic, some A are B, and of those that are B, some B are A. Between B and C, the statement tells us that all B are C, and that means by default some B are C because all B are C, and some C are also B. Between A and C, we know that if all A are B and all B are C, automatically there is a direct correlation between A and C. All A will be C. Some A will be C, and some C will be A. Put it this way, if all A are B and A are basically, you can replace B here with A, right? That means if instead of a B it said A again, the same thing would apply, wouldn't it? All A would be C, some A would be C, and some C would be A. All cities are countries, and all countries are continents. So now what can be deduced here? Between cities and countries, all cities are countries, some cities are countries, and some countries are cities. Between cities and continents, we can see that all cities are continents, some cities are continents, and some continents are cities. Between countries and continents, all countries are continents, some countries are continents, and by that same logic, some countries are continents. When you look at the statement, you might think this is so hard to deduce, but the Venn diagram makes it so much easier because all the information is presented in a graphical manner. On to the next pattern now. Some A are B and all B are C. Now, look at the Venn diagram and you can see that there is overlap between A and B, and since all B are C, there is also overlap between A and C. So what can be deduced? First, let's look at A and B, the most simplest pattern. We can tell that some A will be B, and by that same logic, some B will be A. We know that all B are C. If all B are C, we know that all B will be C, some B are C, and some C are B. Between A and C, right here, there is overlap between A and C because we know that some A will be C and some C will be A. Some shoes are slippers and all slippers are footwear. Now, if some shoes are slippers, we know that, again, some slippers will be shoes. If all slippers are footwear, a statement which reads some slippers are footwear will be correct, and a statement that reads some footwear are slippers will also be correct. The more complicated relationship comes between shoes and footwear. If all slippers are footwear, by that logic, some shoes will be footwear. And if some shoes are footwear, some footwear will also be shoes. Take a moment to look at this one because it's probably one of the most difficult patterns we have come across so far. Pattern 8 now. All A are B and some B are C. Between A and B, we know that all A are B, some A are B, and some B will be A. Now this is a pattern we've seen regularly now between when all X are Y. As soon as you see all X are Y, this should come straight into your head. All A are B, some A are B, and some B are A. We've also seen a pattern regularly between B and C that's shown here. Some B are C. Now, if some B are C, we know that some C will also be B. However, now you need to be a bit more careful. Whilst all A are B, it does not necessarily mean there is a relationship between A and C. Think of it this way. There are 100 units of B. Of those 100 units of B, there are 5 which are A, right? All A are B, but that does not necessarily mean that all B are A. If 4 units of the 100 B are A, there are 96 units which are not A. And although there is a relationship between B and C, we don't know for sure that there is a relationship between A and C, simply because it could be one of those 96 units of B that are not related to A. Therefore, we cannot assume for sure that there is a relationship between A and C, as we've talked about before. An example, all mobiles are gadgets and some gadgets are portables. Between mobiles and gadgets, now this is a very straightforward relationship. All mobiles are gadgets, some mobiles are gadgets, and by the same logic, some gadgets are mobiles. Between gadgets and portables, again, a relationship we've seen very often now. Some gadgets are portables, and so some portables will be gadgets. Between mobiles and portables, there is an unknown relationship because, let's look at this diagram. This will help us understand what I was trying to say before a lot more clearly. All mobiles are gadgets, but remember there are so many other types of gadgets. There are iPods, there are headphones, that sort of thing. Now, how do you know for sure that we know that some gadgets are portable, but we don't know from that information that mobiles and portables have a relationship. We know in real life, yes, there can be portable mobiles, but from the statement, this can't be deduced at all. The next pattern now, all B are A and all C are A. So what can be deduced here? We know that B and C are two separate entities in the bubble of A. We can only find that out once we've drawn the Venn diagram, and again it becomes a lot more easy. Between A and B, this is very, very simple now. We know all B are A, we know that some B are A, and we know that some A are also B. Between A and C, the same applies. We know that all C are A, meaning some C are A and some A are C. B and C are separate entities as shown in the Venn diagram, therefore there is an unknown relationship here. This should be really easy now. So between trucks and cars, we know that all cars are trucks, some trucks are cars, and some cars are trucks. Between trucks and lorries, we know that all lorries are trucks, some lorries are trucks, and some trucks are lorries. Between cars and lorries, there is an unknown relationship. Pattern 11. All A are B and no B are C. So here, A is enclosed within B, and the whole AB circle is separate to C. So the relationship between A and B is as normal. All A are B, some A are B, and some B are A. Between B and C, we know that no B are C, no C will be B, some B are not C, and some C are not B. If you see any of these statements in a UKCAT question, straight away, it should be very, very clear. If no X are Y, it means no X are Y, no Y are X, some X are not Y, and some Y are not X. Straight away, this should not take you any time at all to answer that sort of question. Between A and C, now, because all A are B and there is no relationship between B and C, automatically the same relationship applies between A and C as between B and C. No A are C, no C are A, some A are not C, and some C are not A. All symphonies are trumpets, and no trumpets are clarinets. So what is the relationship between symphonies and trumpets? As always, all symphonies are trumpets, some symphonies are trumpets, and some trumpets are symphonies. No trumpets are clarinets. This means no trumpets clarinets, no clarinets are trumpets, some clarinets are not trumpets, and some trumpets are not clarinets. Between symphonies and clarinets, no symphonies are clarinets, no clarinets are symphonies, some symphonies are not clarinets, and some clarinets are not symphonies. The next pattern now. All A are B and no A are C. Very similar to one we've seen before. So B is enclosed in A, and there's no relationship between A and C. Between A and B, all A are B, some A are B, and some B are A. Between A and C, no A are C, no C are A, some A are not C, and some C are not A. Between B and C. This is different now. Before, we had no B or C, but here, no A or C. Just because no A or C, it does not rule out the possibility that there is a relationship between B and C. But we do know for sure that some B are not C. Why is that? Well, remember, all A are B, right? So of the 100, imagine there are 100 Bs. 4 of those Bs are As. Now, if you ask me, is there a relationship between B and C? I can say yes. Some B are not C because of those 100 Bs that are A, as I said, four of those Bs are A's. Those 4 are not C. So we can say some B are not C. A small percentage of Bs are not C. All cherries are pencils and no cherries are pillows. Between cherries and pencils, all cherries are pencils, some cherries are pencils, and some pencils are cherries. Between cherries and pillows, we know that no cherries are pillows, no pillows are cherries, some cherries are not pillows, and some pillows are not cherries. Between pencils and pillows, some pencils are not pillows because some of those pencils will be cherries. Some A are B and no B are C. In this relationship, we see two statements that we are very, very similar to. So the relationship between A and B and C should be very straightforward, as seen here. Between A and B, Some A are B, some B are A. Between B and C, no B is C, no C are B, some B are not C, and some C are not B. Now, the relationship between A and C. Some A are not C. So why is that? Very similar to the reason I just gave before. But instead, now look at it from A's perspective. In this diagram, we know that some A are B. By the same logic, some B will be A. If there are 100 units of A, 6 or 7 might be B. If you ask me, is there a relation between A and C, I can say for sure that of those 100 units of A, the 6 to 7 that are B will not be related to C, meaning some A are not C. An example, some psychology students are graduates and no graduates are mathematicians. Between psychology students and graduates, we see the normal some psychology students are graduates and some graduates are psychology students. Between graduates and mathematicians, we see no graduates are mathematicians, no mathematicians are graduates, some graduates are not mathematicians, and some mathematicians are not graduates. Between psychology students and mathematicians, we know that some psychology students are not mathematicians. Now, those are the different relationships that you'll see. I mean, that's a lot of information that you've just had to take in. So I advise you to watch the video again, pause it, try and do the examples without looking at the answers, and yeah, eventually you should be very, very comfortable with syllogisms. These are just some shortcuts I've come up with to help you answer the questions. If you see no x or no y, there's no relationship at all. If you see all x or all y, again, they should all be connected. If you see all x and some y, there is no immediate conclusion. This means that straight away you can't tell for sure that there is an answer. You may need to draw a Venn diagram. There is some x plus all y. There will be some relationship. So again, worth drawing a Venn diagram there. Some x and no y. Some are not related, but again, we don't know for sure. But if you see some x and some y, you know that there is no immediate conclusion. But further investigation with a Venn diagram should help you.
Thank you for watching this free Medic Mind tutorial. We aim to make UKCAT revision simple, visual, but most importantly, affordable. For £20 you can unlock all 150 tutorials in our online course. You can also buy our 6 expert UKCAT guides written by a teacher who scored 900 in 3 sections. Or you can have all 150 video tutorials, each of the 6 UKCAT books and a full classroom course for just £35.
Medic Mind. Motivate, mentor, maximize.